see now, even now. There's still a bit of a latency issue. I mean, your screen is frozen now. You're just stuck in one place.
Now?
You just change frame now. You're on another frame, but you're stuck still.
Must be your latency issues down there, yeah?
Why does it have to be down here?
I'm on CloudFront up here, mate.
You on what?
I'm on CloudFront.
CloudFront, okay. Look, man, I think we all have decent speed internet at the moment. And what are you cloud fronting? Because this is not cached data or content. Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
So do you wanna go through the questions just as a practice then? Should we just use this as a practice session then?
We're not practicing now. We're already in the webinar now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's hilarious. No, no worry. It's not like, you don't know your stuff. You know your stuff already. And it's not complicated. It's just a conversation with you. Thanks, by the way. I think let's turn off our video.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because of the connection is still lagging.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I'd like to welcome everybody. Apologies for the terrible network that we had. Hopefully we can try this again next week. But for now, I think we're just going to deliver on our promise in terms of our special guest that we have tonight. In our session, we were supposed to live stream, and we had a few issues for a couple of minutes, and we decided, let's record the session for those who really, really wanted to see and hear, what we're going to talk about. So welcome to our session, and Sushil, how are you feeling, brother? Are you good?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invite. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Good, man. Yeah, so we have Silly on the call, Silly, technical support. So we just invited you today, and thank you for honoring the invite and also bearing or tolerating this network issues here from Africa. As you pointed out, the issues are down here. Anyways, look, man, we just want to discuss, for the people who are listening and for the people that will watch this, what, as a way of introduction, by the way, Sushil has a number of, AWS cloud infrastructure certifications. Sushil, would you mind just doing an intro for yourself so that I don't butcher and miss certain things that perhaps you'd like me to touch on, please, if you don't mind? Yeah.
Yeah, certainly I can do that. So, like Lois has kindly introduced myself, I'm Sushil. I've been involved in AWS cloud infrastructure for about a couple of years now. Yeah, just been every day is a learning curve and kind of just keeping on top of the ever evolving technology, window that we live in. So yeah, that's a bit about me, really.
Yeah. And specifically, AWS, for those who don't know, is more cloud services. Tell us a little bit about, what that actually means for those who don't know.
So cloud services is gone are the days where a business would have to spend time for servers to store their customers' data on servers, and as the company grows, it require more servers. of the day of sort of now cloud technology. You have the instant sort of capability of upscaling or downscaling your service on demand, which as a cost proposition is very cost effective for businesses as well. Especially for businesses if they want to test sort of certain new features or programs, and they can sort of spin up sort of, servers remotely from AWS, and then shut them down when required as well.
Yeah. And what you just said from a cost efficiency and a cost optimization point of view, brings me to the next question I wanted to ask you on the sort of what it actually means from a international standard architecture point of view. Do these costs vary from, one country to another? And if they do, the costs vary. Is it like the olden times where we had like on-premise traditional infrastructure, or is it better?
Yeah, so the architecture basically is growing in every company. Each cloud provider now, and I think AWS more than any other company has got so many data centers across different countries, and the services that they provide in each country depends on the demand, and also the cost will also depend on the certain demand on certain services within different regions. And as there becomes more users within a specific region, let's say for within Africa, then they will release more features, and therefore that will drive the cost down as well for different services.
Yeah. And to you, just for people, the audience and the people that are watching, to build something that like we've done with EquipMAX, when we talk about the global or international standard architecture, in terms of your experience and your knowledge, what does that actually entail? Can anyone just say we built an international standards, application, or there are a couple of considerations when it comes to building something like this? And if there
You
are
definitely need
considerations,
yeah,
what are
sorry.
those considerations? Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I mean, if you were going to use the sort of AWS, it's recommended that you would use sort of the AWS well-architected 6 pillars,
Yeah,
which will be operational excellence pillar, the security pillar, reliability pillar, performance efficiency pillar, cost optimization, and sustainability pillar. And you would hope that any sort of business model or footprint that you design has them 6 pillars in consideration as well. From sort of like a customer perspective, it should feel sort of simple and responsive and trustworthy. So the customers should be able to register and sort of list and search and list assets, make bookings for their assets, and receive obviously the support that's needed at any time as well, which is really important,
yeah,
which the EquipMAX team, has put something in place to make sure that the customer is a number one focus there and deliver on that sort of customer excellence. And sort of from like a business perspective, the architecture, it allows EquipMAX to enter new countries, connect sort of with local partners, and also introduce improvements as well, without actually rebuilding the whole architecture that was been built for the South African market as well.
Nice. And you touched on 6 pillars, but I'm gonna pick on maybe two of those. When it comes to reliability, take us down, what you actually mean by reliability from that sense.
Certainly, yeah. So it should mainly that pillar should mainly focus on your workloads performing for their intended functions,
Mhm.
and how to recover if there was sort of like a failure or a disaster in a local region. And that
Yeah,
could be anything from a natural disaster to like a hurricane, monsoon floods, and
mm,
it's how quickly the system can get back online.
yeah,
And that's a very key important fact. And sort of what things do you have put in place that if one of your regions goes down, your
yeah,
services uptime is still remain because you have a failover in another region as well. And I think that's really important
yeah,
for these modern day times for a business to continue to sort of be online if there was a certain disruption in a certain region, and
yeah,
or how quickly the systems can recover from a failure as well.
yeah. And in today's time, that is not just a theory. Would you say it is practically possible to have high availability for those, eventualities that you're talking about?
Correct, yeah. And I believe that EquipMAX is dealt is has a infrastructure to deal with sort of high availability and reliability as well, to
Yeah,
ensure the stakeholders, but also the customers, which are our main priorities, have always got that sort of uptime on their online.
okay. So let me try and break this down from a practical point of view for someone who's now doesn't understand this language. If you say the server is up in Kenya, for example, and it's up and running, and there's a disaster in Kenya, and the server in Kenya goes down, where does this application now connect to?
It would be set up, so it would be set up to the next nearest sort
Yeah,
of a server next to sort of Kenya,
yeah,
which would then also provide the lowest latency. And what that means is from your latencies from point A to point B, how quick that data transfers from point A to point B.
yeah. Okay, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Um, okay, that's good, man. That's actually unpacking that reliability so well for someone who actually doesn't know how this thing works. And then I want to touch on governance or compliance. Um, I mean, data is one of the most important things nowadays, and we have loads of it everywhere. And sometimes, there are companies that are found non-compliant when it comes to data because they're just not following the rules. So in this case, what does that actually mean in a practical way for EquipMAX and where that data resides, particularly for all these different countries? Maybe you can make an example with the EU region.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
So data is Equimax's, you know, probably number one priority regards to sort of like security and making sure that customers' data is as secure as it could possibly be as well.
yeah,
And regards to the localized data, it would always stay within the country where the EquipMAX is there set up. It would be very, on the rare occasion, it may transfer to other regions for the purpose of possibly using other additional AWS services, but then that data would be then brought back on a secure term back to the local country as well and stored within the local residency.
Yeah. So that can virtually, for someone who's wondering, can it be done in any country? That sort of, compliancy, data compliancy.
Yeah, any country that has any sort of rules like the GDPR rules,
Yeah.
Data Protection Act rules, they will have to keep the customer's data within that country. Very rarely would you want your data being held in a different region/country as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that EquipMAX, from a compliance point of view, keeps that data within the region where the license is there.
Yeah. And I think for us in South Africa, we have the POPIA or POPIA, we call it the POPI Act, similarly to the GDPR policy, data policy. So, I often think about, I used to work for a particular company that I'm not going to mention, but it's Blue. It's one of the big major cloud providers. So back then, I was one of the BDMs, and I think we were not ready at the time from a cloud point of view. We're trying to um, get a lot of clients to work with us, and we just didn't understand the whole sort of data compliance policies, and it was very obvious at the time that this Blue company was, not um, in the same sort of space where the likes of AWS, Azure, and others that they were, or they were not ready. They didn't have as much footprint, and so we saw ourselves having quite a short, coming short when it comes to discussions on cloud because of their lack of presence. Um, but certainly, I think over time, I think they've improved their footprint. And now also, I think one has become more knowledgeable and aware about hybrid models when it comes to cloud, whereby you can have like your private cloud as well as on premise, and then you can mix them up as well, depending on the use case or the workloads. So this reminds me of that kind of that journey one has gone through. So just on the trust by design, going back to the international standard, what does trust by design? Because I often hear this a lot when someone is building. They say, let's build trust by design before we even scale and so forth. To you, what does that actually mean?
I think for what we put together at EquipMAX, the trust by design is we need to make sure that every component that we used within our architecture is,
Yeah.
first of all, secure, it is reliable, and we can use that same footprint in any sort of country we go to expand in. We're going to be using the same footprint that we know is a trusted footprint
Oh,
that has been used you know,
Yeah,
in South Africa, and we can hopefully use that same footprint in other countries as well.
yeah. I think your line is bad now. I don't know if it's my side or is it yours. It might be down here again.
Could be me.
Now I can hear you now nicely. Sushil?
Hello, yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you now.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would use that in every design element that we put in and every service we
Mm.
put in. Our number one priority is how can we use that to replicate the same sort of footprint or architecture to another country, and will it give us the same levels of security and reliability
Yeah.
when we with our initial design for the South African market? Can we use that and implement that to other countries? And that's
Mm.
always been our thought process, is how can we make sure that we have a design that we can easily replicate without too many complications in other countries as well.
Yeah. I like that. I like the last part of saying without complication in other countries as well. Almost looks like you you build like a certain framework and you use the same framework and replicate it in other countries, but obviously, like we said now from a data policy point of view, the only change is that the policies are not the same, but the framework is the same. When you follow data compliancy, you know that you are looking more or less for the same thing: security, locality, and making sure that the data basically sits where it's supposed to sit, and it's also secure. So I like that part, that it's not overcomplicating it. And the not so long ago I was having this conversation with Silly regarding certain other services in the technology that we use that are standard, right? Like geolocation, for example, the currency APIs and so forth, that are standard across geolocation, pools, geolocation in India, in London, in South Africa, wherever it is. And the use case is the same. It's the same in South Africa. If we're using geolocation for the listing, right, the asset where it is, or where the owner sits, or the renter, where it's going, that asset, it's going to be used the same way in London as well. It's going to be for the same use cases. Like, it doesn't change now all of a sudden when in London we use it for a different purpose. So it's kind of like having that template that you can just replicate in other regions and in other countries. Yeah, is
Yeah, exactly that. And it's just as
mm,
you mentioned earlier, the UK has the GDPR,
mm,
you have the Poppy Act in South Africa. There'll be other countries that'll have similar sort of compliance
yeah,
to protect the customers, and it's how we use the same services like the geolocation, like the currency exchange, and we
yeah,
just implement that in the country. So sort of like a lift and shift. You just lift that same architecture that we've built within South Africa and move it to somewhere like Nairobi or Kenya or India or America. So yeah, it's
yeah,
exactly the same. Under the hood is exactly the same.
yeah. I've just Googled now the other frameworks for data compliance in the USA. It's called CCPA, in China, PIPL, Brazil, LGBTPD. Yeah, so um, I'm saying that because when we go to those countries and when we launch and we have a country owner in that, those are the policies that we would then have to understand. But the technology and the architecture can adapt, more especially because it's a database issue. It's not even a server issue. It's more of the database, right? That it focuses on. Correct?
Correct, yeah. And I think
Yeah.
once you understand where compliance sits
Yeah.
within the framework, you can
Okay.
fit any sort of compliance from any country within that framework in the architecture.
Yeah. Got you. All right. So in this day and age of AI, you know, I guess we have to discuss this because, everybody would be so sad if we don't, we end the webinar without talking about AI.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to AI, what do you think are, the main purpose maybe of AI for a platform such as this, where we could, maybe leverage the AI technology to improve whatever customer journey experience and whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I think for definite we have to be responsible of our AI and
Yeah,
the requirements to ensure we've got sort of a clear business purpose, but appropriate data governance and really meaningful human oversight
yeah,
on there. It's very easy to lose sight of AI and the capabilities.
yeah,
So we need to make sure, we've got that in place. And we do have that in place with, automated tools
yeah,
that support sort of decisions.
yeah,
Um, so rather than just remove the accountabilities, it's sort of like where the decision may materially affect a user, there
yeah,
should be an appropriate review process and a way to handle things like that as well.
yeah,
And we should use AI to sort of improve our services, but also reduce the friction as well, because within businesses, any kind of business model, there's a lot of friction.
yeah,
So we should never, lose sight of that as well,
yeah,
and make sure that we're always fair and responsible with the governance that we have in place as well.
yeah. Just want to bring in Silly at this because I think there's one or two use cases that we've started, um, playing around with as far as AI is concerned. Silly, just for the audience, would you perhaps highlight the ones that you've seen we've already started with um, within the client side of the application? You're muted.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question? My network is kind of laggy.
Okay. So no, I was saying from an AI point of view, where in our application at the moment on EquipMAX, have we used it? I know we've dabbled with it a little bit
Oh,
in the client side of things in the application. So
oh,
just maybe just tell the audience.
okay. We have integrated the use of AI into our listing.
Yeah,
So the AI basically helps people who are renting out assets. It helps them describe their assets better.
yeah,
It helps them give a better description of the asset.
yeah,
The-
yeah. I like that. Okay, and in that, I think the reason we did that because we sort of the quality of the listings was a bit of a challenge for some people, and it's a whole range of areas where they struggle. not only the title of the asset or the description of the asset, but even in the quality of the images that are loaded. In that, not using AI obviously to generate images because we want the actual images, but just the lighting of taking the images of the asset or the equipment. Knowing, I mean, not all of us can use these smartphones that we have standing, facing, your back facing the sun, or the sun basically behind you, and you using the light of the sun to actually take the pictures, instead of you facing the sun and there's high exposure of lighting all around the equipment, and then you end up having a distorted picture. But just mentioning that as one of the things, not we use as that we use AI on, but as one of the certain challenges that we face at the moment with, obviously that will take some education for, for new users and those who are listing for the first time on EquipMAX. But from an AI point of view, certainly from a user behavior point of view, we would like to leverage more of the predictive analysis or user predictive analysis, where we only, or we first present the stuff that you have interest in, as opposed to the general listings, so that if you're looking for something, you don't struggle to find what you're looking for. So using AI to actually improve that experience from a search point of view, and also not only that, from a customer experience or customer service point of view, using some conversational generative, like AI conversations, where when people are looking for support, they don't necessarily have to wait for a live agent unless the issue or question that they are posing is quite complex. Therefore, we would then need to bring in a live agent to solve mostly the complex questions, but not the mundane, redundant sort of questions, which are mostly, your frequently asked questions by most users on the platform. All right, so Sushil, this one's for you now. I want to take us back a little bit to the infrastructure now, talking about the country operator, because in the beginning we were just talking about the architecture, cloud architecture, the compliance, the performance, the reliability. We talk about performance, we talk about security. But now let's bring it down to a country owner. Like, what does that architecture now mean to the person who says, I want to own EquipMAX, I want to run EquipMAX? Now, what does this architecture mean for me?
Sure. So EquipMAX will basically be taking, the responsibility of providing the billing based on the country that you decide to take up.
Yeah.
So they will be producing a monthly bill. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah.
To each individual country owner.
Yeah.
Would I be correct in saying that?
Now, I think, let me clarify my question to say, who looks after that infrastructure? Because we've spoken about the infrastructure now between us, EquipMAX, and the country owner who's now just getting the license to run the application, right? To onboard their owners and their renters. Am I going to, as a country operator, have to look after the server as well? Or is that now a function that is just going to be taken care by us as the head office of EquipMAX, and the country operators don't have to worry about anything?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, there should be no responsibility for the country owner to need to build a technology for the marketplace, etc. That will be already set up and provided. So you'll be provided as part of the licensing agreement, you'll be provided the licensing model that is
yeah.
intended for the country,
Mhm.
and EquipMAX will arrange to get that set up within that country. But
Yeah,
you will also have insight and visibility on different key KPI metrics on how your business is performing within that country as well. And that, as well as sort of your billing and your KPI, you don't have to have the stress of, maintaining anything, looking after any of the servers or anything like that. So that you can sort of, the main focus for country owners is to build that client base and really push it out there rather than worry about the architecture and is it going to be ready to scale if I start increasing my customer base.
yeah. Okay. So last question for you. In terms of a prospective country operator, when evaluating operating EquipMAX, if you were one, put yourself in their shoes, what would you be evaluating the EquipMAX purchase of this platform on?
So on the potential growth out there,
Yeah,
the potential of underlying assets that have not been used or underutilized by people,
yeah,
very lucrative market out there where people are just have assets just sat idle in the property or maybe in the garage, which they can be, turning a revenue as well.
yeah.
Um,
So it's more of the market opportunity
yeah.
that you're highlighting. Yeah. And apart from the market opportunity, from a product evaluation point of view, how would you evaluate our product?
There's nothing. I don't think there is anything out there in terms of what EquipMAX sort of can provide.
Yeah,
Just from everything from the scalability, the cost, the support that is provided. Because I think as a business licensee owner as well,
yeah,
the support is quite important as well, and what support you get from EquipMAX, which is very vital when you just need that instant access to support. I think will be available there as well.
yeah. Now you touched on something else already. You brought in the support element to it. All right. So yeah, I think, to summarize it, you've covered quite a bit as far as, one who'd want to actually understand as a country owner. Firstly, we spoke about the architecture and how it would be ready from an international standard point of view. You mentioned the 6 pillars, and then you also mentioned, you went into detail in terms of reliability, what that would actually mean from an availability point of view, failover, disasters, coming back online quickly, latency, if, they go off, which is the nearest other zone that they can connect to, and how quickly or slow would that serve the customers that need to be served that information. And we spoke a little bit about, different data policies from different regions or countries that kind of is an important consideration. And then now you spoke really about the market opportunity, of the goods and equipment and assets that are idling and underutilized, and that's really where the opportunity is for owners of equipment, as well as opportunity is for renters who want access to the equipment. But beyond that, the country operators, that's where the opportunities from a business point of view, the revenue, where it comes from literally from the owners that are listing the equipment that is underutilized, for those who are desperately needing access to it for various reasons, perhaps cannot afford to finance the equipment. And there may be many reasons, economic reasons, issues of credit, and other issues that pertain to, the constraint of having access to this equipment. And now, lastly, you spoke to the support issue, where the product is well supported. You can reach out to us, you can reach out to the team. We've got support lines. I think the one thing we didn't mention is, what are our support lines? We've got a telephone line, we've got emails, we've got a ticketing system inside the application. We've also got our WhatsApp line, which is now on the website front end, where you can easily, if you have an issue, just talk to us there. Silly, is there anything that I'm forgetting when it comes to that customer support?
We have a ticketing system also.
Yeah, we already mentioned that.
Or you mentioned,
Yeah,
there's nothing else.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So we continuously trying to improve the application. And there's a couple of things that Silly and the team are working on in terms of making it better. Some of the features that are soon going to be coming. And by the way, very importantly to mention, the country operators, just like any software that needs updating, they don't have to worry about the updates, right? We handle the updates for them from time to time. I mean, how often do we push updates, Silly? In a month, perhaps?
Oof.
A couple of times, eh?
A couple of times, yeah.
Yeah. So it would be a couple of times, and that's the hassle that, we're saving the country operators from, because, as the product is improving, there's lots and lots and lots more that's still yet to come. And if you're a country owner of EquipMAX, you don't have to worry about that. We, as the head office, basically are going to be driving and pushing those updates from time to time. And I like that. I caught you off guard there, and you really, I hope you're not acting. You really can't remember, because we really just, honestly, on a weekly basis, always just working on something else, something else that's new, something else that's improving, something else that's just needs to be updated. I mean, it happens like, I don't know. I have an iPhone here which is constantly updating. Just the other day, I was updating the OS 26, the one which is called Tahu or Tehu. I just updated maybe 2 days ago, and then on the third day there's another update, and the first one was about 20 gigs, and the next one was about 15 gigs. But anyway, all of this update is for good reason. It's security updates and patches and stuff like that that need to be pushed. So we ourselves as well are in that quest and that journey of always just improving our product, the experience, improving the security, and the other, reasons why we would update. We're not just pushing updates because we are bored, but we're certainly looking at, improving it for various reasons that make the product even better than what it is right now. All right, so thanks for your time. Sushil, thank you so much, my man, for joining us today. Thank you for unpacking some of that stuff for us and making it quite practical for us to understand, and hopefully for our audience as well. They now understand quite a few, terminologies that you used and why it's so important.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, man, thanks. We'll invite you again when we try our live streaming again. Yeah. Apologies for the glitches earlier on for the live stream. It's certainly something that was out of our control. I can see now the internet has improved tremendously from what it was from when we tried to go live. I don't know if we should change the time, perhaps, because I think the network around this time, people are back, and we're just an hour difference to you guys, right, in London. So it's mostly the time when people come back, and I think everyone is on the network. Perhaps.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks for your time, guys. Have a great evening, Monday evening, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.